All right, we are ready to go. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. Let's chat about what digital products you should sell if you're a service provider. This is a topic that Jana and I chat about frequently in WhatsApp, not necessarily like the overview or whatever, but we talk about our own digital products and what we are selling and what we want to do
Yeah.
as service providers. Because even though Jana is more of a coach these days with her course HLC, um, you still have some clients in the background.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually, when I think about what like service providers having digital products, it definitely could be for people who are done for you service providers, but it also could be for really any service-based business. So if you're a service-based business, basically that means you're either doing done for you services, done with you services, right? Like intensives where you do the work together, or you are coaching, right? Or mentoring. So it's like coaching services. That's a service. And when you think about how you might want to like productize that and create digital products that are more scalable, that don't require you to personally show up to deliver that service, right? That's kind of like that's what we're talking about, right? So definitely like these days mostly what I do, like originally in the beginning I was a service provider, but have definitely transitioned into more digital products.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally. So and what about you? What's your sort of arc on that? Like where you started as a service provider, you still have some services, but also digital products. Like you have a suite of products and services, and some of them are digital products.
I do. I have a suite of done for you and done with you, as well as doing on your own, um, you know, library of things. So depending on the customer journey and where people are at, they may fit into different things for different reasons, and a lot
Yeah.
of them overlap. That's the
Yeah.
point of that customer journey. So, um, I feel like a lot of people just get really caught up and overwhelmed because they feel like they need to do everything all at once. And in this space where people are telling you that you can make passive income, I mean, who doesn't want to make passive income? But let's be honest, my opinion on this is almost nothing is passive.
Right. Totally.
So, um, if you are watching and listening, then just, know that you're always going to have to do some work and you're going to have to be okay with that. And that's fine. Because to better serve our audiences, we need to be keeping things up to date, and we also need to be continually creating content or messaging that gets people into those.
Yeah.
So
That's the
just,
thing is like when you're a digital product, when you're selling digital products, your work just changes.
yeah,
Instead of like serving clients more, you're doing more marketing for your digital products. So
yeah.
it's not really passive truly. I mean, it's more leveraged income than passive income.
So I think just settle in and give us a listen and, get some ideas for what you could create in your business and how you could leverage those. And let's just see where this goes.
Sounds good. And I know that you, in November of last year, inside the membership that you run, your awesome membership, um, you did a deep dive into digital products. So if anybody's listening and they want to learn more and they've decided, okay, this is my year, I'm going to have digital products in addition to the services that I offer, or maybe in your mind, you think down the road, you might even want to replace the services you offer with digital products because both are good options, right? Depending on what you want in your world and your life. Um, that I know that's a great place to go and learn this and get Heather's more one-on-one mentorship, not one-on-one, but more like her more direct mentorship as well, I should say.
Yeah.
So I want to start, I guess let me start. I'm going to kind of like interview you on this one because you're really the expert on digital products. I mean, I have them, but I don't really teach them, and I only really think about mine mostly because most of what I teach to people in terms of content strategy is really to help people sell their coaching offers, which are not, like digital products technically. So I guess let's just like kind of start with a basic one so people really know what we're talking about. What are the digital product types? Like, what are some examples of the kinds of digital products that service providers can create and add into their suite of offers? Like, what are we even talking about here?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. There are ebooks, workbooks, guides to things. There's
Mhm.
your average online course. There's paid audio podcasts. There are templates that you could sell. If you want a full membership program, you could go that route. That's what I have.
Hmm.
Workshops. I've hosted workshops that are paid and free. You could do, more up-leveled webinars. I've seen people even do paid webinars, toolkits of all sorts of digital products. So maybe it's like a full starter kit that someone would need.
Toolkits.
There's just a whole list.
Yeah, I actually also like recently because I work with a lot of health and wellness coaches, and I noticed that a couple of my people like in my sphere have created some like journaling prompts.
Oh,
And one client of mine from a couple of years ago did she does like guided meditations that are recorded. So there, like you said, there's like so many options. So basically, we're talking about something like, is there like a technical definition, would you say, of like a digital product?
typically what I see and like I see my membership as being a digital product, even though it is more hands-on, like what I was saying, it's not passive. There's really nothing passive about a membership, but I do see it being a digital product because it's not something physical I'm shipping to anybody. So
Yeah,
something that people can buy from you online and begin consuming without your direct assistance in getting them started.
right,
So it could like the whole list of things I just named off can be a digital product, something
right.
that people buy and
Te
consume.
Because technically, it could be like a Saturday morning and somebody enrolls in your membership, and you spend the weekend like at the cookie cabin and up the mountain. And we'll explain in a moment. But that doesn't mean that the person who just bought from you has to wait for Monday or Tuesday when you have your next open availability or whatever to start learning, right? They get in there right away into the membership and they can start choosing what they want to learn first and just get in there and take action right away without you being there. So I visited Heather in Arizona about a month ago, I think it was, and
It was actually a month ago.
yeah, she brought me along to some of her favorite weekend places, things she likes to do when people are buying her products and going and learning from her. She might be at the Cookie Cabin, which was like the coolest place that she brought me to, as an example. Okay, so anyway, we digress. Okay, awesome. And what has been your journey personally with digital products? Like, were there some that you created that flopped? Were there some that you created that did really well that you didn't even imagine would do well, that took off in a way you didn't expect? Like, I guess I'm really asking, like, you know, has it been more of a journey in figuring it out, or did you just like automatically have a good idea or know what to create as a service provider who was, adding digital products back in the day when you started doing that?
So, like most people, some of the first products that I created just didn't sell. And I did the tiny offer kind of framework in the beginning when I started creating digital products. So, a lot of the upsells, and I guess that's what you call them, order bumps and upsells that I created over time didn't work out. I've created things that have sold, some of, maybe a few spots, but haven't really sold like in mass. Um, and couldn't even begin to tell you what they are because it's just there's so many things
It's
I've
been a
created
while.
over the years. Yeah, but the things that have really stood out and have worked well have been or has historically been my Pinterest courses and my Pinterest system product, which is I created it back in 2017 in January. So it's been how many years now since I created that product? I actually didn't even create it as a product to start. I created it as a workflow and a system for myself to manage Pinterest clients because I quickly went from one Pinterest client to like five in a matter of weeks. And I needed a way to work on their accounts and keep everything together. And that's kind of how the Pinterest system was birthed. Now I have babied this product over the years and really expanded it and grown it to be something that is so much more than just like one 2-page spreadsheet that I
Yeah.
was tracking client content and client pins in. And it really is like an OG product of its type.
Mhm.
There have been many other people that have tried to recreate it or have recreated it, and it's just not the same. It's not
So
mine.
let me jump into your story for a second and just tease something out for people who are listening. And I know I also want to make sure Nikki Torday had a question that she wanted to make sure we cover, which we will.
Ah,
So, hey, Nikki. Um, I think one of the things you just said is you took something that you were using with clients, the Pinterest system. The Pinterest system is actually a few different tools like together, right? It's almost like a little bit of a toolkit type of situation, right?
yeah, you could call it that. So the
Yeah.
system itself is, it originated as a Google Sheet, and it still
Mhm.
is that as a Google Sheet. I update it 2, 3 times a year as things change, as things shift. It gets updated. As I come up with new ways to work within the same system better, I always add those things in and keep
Yeah.
people up on that. So it's ever morphing, but it's basically it's more than a Pinterest system. It's basically a system where you can manage all of your content in your business, including your funnels, including your affiliate links, blog posts, YouTube videos. And then also in the same spreadsheet, you can track your keyword plan, your Pinterest analytics. You can track your boards that you're creating and or need to create, workflows for your Pinterest account, your pin plans that you're creating monthly. Like it's so much more than just a
Yeah.
spreadsheet to track content.
Yeah. And the part that I really want to like just point out here is that this is something were using at the time to work with clients and you still are, and that's why it morphs and becomes, even better over time. So you looked into your business and you may not have gone through this process, but if there's anyone who's out there who's a service provider and trying to figure out what they can offer as a digital product, you can do that. You can look at what you're currently using in your business with clients. Is there a spreadsheet that you've developed to help clients in a certain way to track something? Is there something you're using behind the scenes in your business that might not even be client facing that you developed to make your own business and life easier, right? So very often we can look at what's already there and think, oh, is this something that I could take and um, I mean, literally, like when I've done this, I've taken it and then I've like made a copy of it. And then I've gone in and I've taken out the information that is, what I put in there essentially and added in placeholders that talk about what goes in there, right? So you can actually look at what you're already using and think about whether that could be something you could sell as a digital product. That's just one way to go about thinking about where to start with digital products. I just wanted to point out that that's kind of part of the lesson in the story you're sharing. So go ahead.
Two sides of the coin as a follow-up to that
Mhm,
is I always start with what are my clients' pain points?
mhm,
Because if you're wanting to sell digital products, because the way that you're going to look at this, so let me back up just briefly because I think this is going to help. A lot of people want to sell digital products or create another stream of revenue to attract other clients or other people that will become clients. That can sometimes be harder when you are creating digital products, depending on who's already in your audience. So if you have an Instagram account of 10,000 followers and you're sharing Instagram marketing tips,
mhm,
chances are your audience is going to be filled with all sorts of people, including other service providers, DIY business people, and then other people that could potentially become your clients. So I think throughout your messaging and your offer, you have to really get clear on who this is for. And while it could fit for all three of those groups of people, or really it's two groups of people, it's people that are wanting to do their own Instagram and people who are doing Instagram for other people. So this is also my story. People who want to do their own Instagram could potentially become your client with the right messaging. That doesn't mean that this tool, this digital product can't help them. So I think you really have to be clear in your messaging. And that's something that I decided very early on that I don't necessarily want people who are buying my digital products to become clients.
mhm,
That's not my qualifier, and that's not the reason I'm selling the product. The reason I'm selling the product is to help those people who cannot afford to hire me. And I
mhm,
want to baby step them through the customer journey to purchasing the product. Now, getting back to what I was starting to say is there's two sides of the coin for what you were mentioning, is looking in your own business at what you're using or creating and potentially using that to sell as a digital product. I've done this two ways for students and for clients. So I have students coming to me telling me I have this problem. This is, I'm having this issue. This is a hang up for me. And I have a sticky note actually right here of things that I messaged you about the other day that I
Hmm.
want to potentially create some workshops on.
Some solutions for.
Right. And these will become paid workshops, but if you're in the membership, you'll just get access to them, right? So I think thinking through that of what are people's pain points, whether it's client or student, or just people in your audience that might become students, and then providing some sort of solution for them. So that's actually how a lot of my products have been birthed. If you go to my entire Shopify store, which is connected to this YouTube channel, every single product listed there has come out of either the membership or working with clients.
Mm, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I think what I'm hearing is that there's like, so far we've kind of uncovered two different methods for figuring out the answer to the question, I'm a service provider, what should I create as a digital product? You could look at what you're already using and
Mhm.
productizing that, but there are, pros and cons to that. And you just described how it's important to understand what the goal is for that thing, is it for people to just DIY, or is it something that you're hoping that people will get and then hire you to do the work or to, coach them through it or something? Um, and then maybe a more strategic way about going about deciding what your digital products should be is what you're talking about, which is really starting with the problems and the pain points that you're seeing over and over again.
Mhm.
And I think over and over again is really the key, right? Because typically digital products, not always, but typically a digital product is going to be a lower ticket item than something that you have to show up to do personally, right?
Yep.
And so there's upsides to that, but then one potential downside, I guess, not really a downside, just a consideration is that in order to make real money, you're going to need to sell a lot of these babies. So that's where creating something to solve an already existing pain point that you're seeing over and over and over is going to pay off, because if you're seeing it over and over, that's a good indication that there's a lot of people out there who are going to want this solution. So
Yeah.
I like it.
And that's why the Pinterest system has sold um over 4,000 times. That was the last time
Whoa.
I did it.
Oh my
Some
God.
yeah, over 4,000 times.
That's amazing. I wrote that
And
down. I'm going to write that. I'm going to put that somewhere.
it, whether people are using it or not is another story, but there was a reason why they purchased it and they were called to purchase it. And I
Yeah.
really think that the system itself solves one huge issue in that it helps people to create a consistent workflow for Pinterest and stay consistent with Pinterest pinning. That video actually just went live today. Actually, how to get started when you fall off the wagon is this like the topic. Um, if anyone wants to watch that, it's live on the channel. You can go watch it after this live. But that is the thesis for the product. It's the transformation after someone, if someone actually buys the product and
And uses
actually
it.
spends time in using it,
Yep.
they're going to have some consistency. And I really think at the end of the day, people want and if you're watching this and you're selling digital products, your audience also wants to drive through the McDonald's drive-through and get the hamburger out the window in less than 5 minutes.
Mm.
We have to be careful in how we make our promises and our transformations because that's not always going to be the case. And you could leave people with a bad taste with your digital product if you are promising like fast hacks or whatever. Unless it truly is fast, just be really careful with your messaging because I have had people complain about the system or whatever else for that, oh, it's really hard to use.
Well,
But they are just like allergic to spreadsheets. So
yeah,
how,
or work.
how else can I help you if you're not going to do the work, right? So we have to do that aspect of it too, of the
Yeah.
message.
And I mean, I think it's a little off topic, but I'm going to say it real quickly anyway. Anytime you are selling digital products, you have to be prepared for the fact that
Yeah,
not everyone who buys them is going to utilize them.
right.
However, you also should be aware of the fact that a lot of people who buy them and look at them and don't actually use them or don't fully leverage them in the way that you design them to be leveraged are still really happy with their purchase.
Mhm.
And I know that sounds kind of funny, but a lot of people buy things because they just want to see your system. They just want to understand or get ideas about how to organize their process. They want to understand better the actual kind of theory behind
Mhm.
What you need to do. So for example, with Pinterest pinning, it's like by looking at your system, they may get answers to questions that they had, like how often should I pin? And what are good ways to keep these organized? And do I use the same image multiple times? Things like that. So a lot of times, even if people don't use your product in the exact way that you thought they would, even with courses, like for example, in my course, high leverage content, I know some people come into the course fully intending to write long form content. And then they get in there and they're so excited by the content pillars that I teach that they start using the content pillars in other ways,
Mhm.
like in their social posts or in their emails or both or whatnot. Do I want them to write blog posts? Yeah, I do, because I want those to then be pinned to Pinterest and all the good things, right? Because I
Yeah.
believe in long form content. But a lot of people get in there and they still get a lot out of a certain little piece of the course without necessarily implementing it in the exact way that I intended them to. Just to be clear, there are also people implementing it the way I intended them to, which is amazing, and they're getting great results, but some people don't. And same
Yeah.
thing with your system. I'm sure a lot of people look at your system, they love it. It gives them ideas on how to organize their own
Mhm.
process. Um, and they're thrilled with the purchase, but they might not see it through to the absolute, zenith that you intended when you created the
Yeah.
product.
Yeah, and some people with the system, their toolkit is different. So I don't offer an Airtable version right now because I don't want to pay for Airtable to give templates.
Hmm.
So they then rebuild it in Airtable. I've also offered bonus videos or bonus products. I just recently launched a Notion version of the Pinterest system to reach a new audience because
Hmm.
so many people are in love with that tool. I don't personally ever want to use Notion for my business or whatever. It's just too complicated for my brain. But for some people who are very creative, who love Pinterest marketing, loved the product.
Yeah.
And when I launched it to my email list in a newsletter, I made it was like $247 in one
Hmm.
day to that product simply because I launched a new version of it. And then anyone who'd already had purchased the Pinterest system, it's just in there as a bonus for them now. So if they want
Yeah.
to use that version, it's there for them. And I love that for them. I'm working on a new
Hmm.
ClickUp version. Eventually I'll have an Asana version because I have built it in Asana for VIP clients. I just don't want to pay for Asana in order to give a template. Um, so yeah, this is a product that I live by and I stand by, and it has helped so many people. And then when I offboard clients, because I create a Pinterest system for every single client that I work with, I send them videos on how to use it. And if they
Hmm.
use it great, almost every single one of them send me a note back saying, I've never had something so organized for my business before. Thank you.
Yeah. So good. Love it, love it. Okay, let's talk about Nikki's question. She asked if printables are worth making. And I think what's underneath this question is like, are printables like still selling? Are printables like something people want, even though there's all these other fancy things like Notion
Yeah,
templates? And yeah, those may be some of the kind of questions that are under the question. But what do you think? Are printables still worth making as a digital product?
I really think it depends on your audience and
Yeah.
who's in your audience and what they're using. If you have an audience of people that love notebooks and paper and pens and they love doing, journaling and things like that, they're going to love your printables. A caveat to that is to make it iPad friendly, make it tablet friendly. So people who like digital journaling, like myself, can use their Apple Pencil with your printable and I don't have to waste ink. To
Hmm.
me, it's wasting ink. I don't like doing that.
Hmm.
I also have a printer that's like 17 years old and it works on a good day. So I use my iPad for a lot of my digital printables that I purchase.
Hmm.
Most of them come in PDF format. So Nikki, I think even thinking about that aspect, kind of like I added the Notion version in for a new audience, you could add a digital planner version in for that audience as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, cool. And let's see. So we talked about ebooks, courses, paid podcasts, which is so interesting, templates, memberships, workshops, toolkits. Um, okay, so this is kind of a big question. So let me figure out how I want to phrase it to make it make the most sense. Basically, I want to ask you, because I know a lot of people are probably wondering this, if they're service providers who are thinking about adding a digital product to diversify their income or bring in a different or an additional income stream, what kind of like tech is typically required? Like what kind of tech are you using in your business? And I
Mhm.
don't necessarily mean to create the digital products. I'm more talking about how to
Yeah.
like as far as delivering them and that type of thing. Like if you add this, what do you also have to add in terms of software and tech?
If you don't already have an email service provider, you are going to need an email service provider because you're going
Mm,
to want a way to email the products to people where you have some control and you have communication because that's the point, right? We're not going to sell someone something once and never talk to them again.
yeah.
We want to continue a relationship. So you're going to need to think about an email marketing strategy around that part. So you're going to need an email service provider. You're also going to need a shopping cart. Those are the two basic things that you're going to need. You can start with something as simple as Sendowl for like $9 to $15 a month, and it will actually, you can load your products into it. It'll do all the checkouts, it connects to Stripe and PayPal, and it'll deliver the product for you. So that piece is good. It also connects with all of the most popular email service providers. So then you can have a line of communication down the road with your person. Those are the two very basic things. So there's Sendowl, Samcart, Thrivecart, all sorts of carts.
Hmm.
HoneyBook just released a capability for selling digital products. You can do a Shopify store if you wanted to go that route. You could sell them on Etsy. You're going to need a cart and a way to accept payments
Hmm.
secured, and then a communication.
Hmm.
So, you know, start there.
Hmm.
If
Makes
you're
sense.
doing, so to kind of caveat that, if you are also doing some sort of course where you want to have videos, that's like another step up, right? So we don't, as digital product sellers or as service providers selling digital products, you don't want to go straight for the course. I wouldn't actually
Okay.
suggest most people start with a course because
Hmm. Interesting.
most courses are, I just feel like most people aren't very strategic in the way that they create and sell their courses.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being a flop and they're disappointed. So if you do a course, you will also need some sort of video hosting software or video screen recording software. The one that I love and use is Vimeo. It offers screen recording and hosting all in one. A lot of people do Loom, screen recording and hosting all in one. Zoom is releasing a new feature where you can do screen recording and hosting all in one. So there's all sorts of screen recording and hosting tools.
Hmm.
And then beyond that, you will need some sort of course software.
Hmm.
I use and love Thrivecart. They are having a little bit of a hiccup right now, so don't hate on them too much if you're listening. Okay, they'll fix it. Um, but Thrivecart is my cart, and I also have a course software within it, so that I'm able to actually, utilize as much of my tool as possible. And I just last year, and I get emails to my list every single day, new subscribers.
Hmm.
I give away free email list products through Thrivecart as well.
Hmm. Okay.
So I can grow my email list that way too.
Yep. Yeah, I remember when you kind of landed on that little epiphany. I
Hmm.
don't know, it's like a year ago or so. I remember and you being like, "Oh my God,
Yeah, I
I
can
can do
do this.
this." Yeah. Yeah. Can you
I
repeat
love
that?
using
Repeat
tools
that
as
one
much.
more time, just because it was a really big, like a big little epiphany for you. Tell us
Yeah.
about it one more time, just in case anybody didn't miss it or missed it, because I know the story, so I might.
Yeah, so with Thrivecart, you can set up
Mhm.
products for $0 and people
Yeah.
don't have to input a credit card. They just have to put their name and email address and then they
Hmm.
can be delivered a free digital product that way or an email
Yeah.
list thing. So all of my freebies are in Thrivecart with Thrivecart pages now, and those are new links that I can promote or just quickly send people. So
Hmm.
I can grow my email list using Thrivecart without ever having to actually sell anything. And then the product is hosted right in Thrivecart
Hmm.
in a course called In Thrivecart Learn.
So instead of having like a landing page, for example, where someone goes and they put their name and their email, and then there's a thank you message that comes up and says, check your email. I just delivered this, or it'll be there within a few minutes. And then they open their email. And then if you have double opt-in, then they would, which, a lot of people don't, but if you do, that's another
Yeah.
step. Basically, what's happening is it's like they're getting the thing delivered immediately without those. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. Cool. Okay, a little bit of a tangent there with, but I know you love Thrivecart, so it was worth talking about. Um, okay, anything else you want to leave people with as far as wisdom, specifically for service providers who might be thinking about adding a digital product, maybe their first digital product or maybe their next digital product?
I think just starting with and I talk about this in the deep dive, is starting with your minimum viable product, your MVP.
Mhm.
You don't want to necessarily go for the full course. Maybe you want to sell a ClickUp template and you need to have some videos that go with it. So what I do is I sell the template and I create in the template a task that houses all of the tutorial information. So I'm not having to host that somewhere else. And I also have the tutorials that go with it. So start with your most minimum viable product. So instead of an entire ClickUp course, I have a ClickUp template with the trainings inside.
Mhm.
Um, if you need to start with something like Etsy to start selling digital products, I think that's fine. I
Mhm.
sell a few over there, not a ton. I sell more through Shopify these days, but it's the same storefront in both places. And then those are also things that I have in the membership and elsewhere. So I think starting with your most minimum viable product and maybe even testing it out with a few people,
Mhm.
giving them either free access or really cheap access and just getting some feedback from them before you go all in and then you waste all of your valuable time on something you're just going to put on the shelf.
Mhm. Yep. Okay.
A
I
couple of
think that's
questions came
good
through the
advice.
chat. Deanna says she mostly does, she's a graphic designer or a web designer, and she does graphics. She sells graphic templates. And I replied and I thought that was really great.
Mm.
And then Bayberry says Etsy versus putting it on your own website. What do you think? I always will default to having it on your own website. So if you want to do a digital product store like Etsy, starting a Shopify store where you can build Google SEO is going to be my favorite option. I know that that is a bigger ask because Shopify costs money. So you do have to have that level of decision making and income coming in before maybe you could warrant having your own Shopify store or WooCommerce store or whatever. So there's definitely a balancing act there, but I will always default to having it on your own website because you can build a Google SEO and you can build traffic. So my Shopify store is what, like maybe 15 months old. Like it's not too old.
Well,
But
feels like it's been longer, but I know you know for sure because of the verified merchant program.
yeah, I think it was September to September. So September of last year plus what, 4 months,
Mm.
16 months old. I'm consistently making about $300 to $400 off of that store now every single month. And then every single day I get email list subscribers because I have
Mm.
my free email list products listed as free products in the Shopify store. So, that's something that you want to consider, Bayberry, is like, where are you at in your business that you can, and then
Mhm.
that allows you more options that you can maybe choose.
Yeah, makes sense. And paying for Shopify is one thing, and then also the setting up Shopify, right? Like actually getting it set up. I know
Yeah.
you've done that on your own, but there's also people out there who specialize in helping people get Shopify set up.
Yeah. And I don't think you necessarily need to pay an exorbitant amount of money. There's so many free and great videos on YouTube that you can utilize. I also purchased a mini product from my friend um, Monica Froze, who actually was my like kickstart in business.
Yeah.
She helped me to get started. Um, she has a mini digital product called like the Quick Win Shopify Workshop or something like that. And I
Mm.
can actually get a link for that and we can put it in the description. It is a private podcast actually, and there are some video tutorials that go along with it. And she offers like swipe files and templates for your images and stuff like that. So I actually used her like $47 workshop to kickstart my entire Shopify store. And it was great. So I'll get a link for that.
Okay, sounds good. And then if someone wants to learn digital products from you, you mentioned the deep dive, and I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but tell us a little bit about what happened in November inside your membership and what's still there for people.
Yeah, so the monthly deep dives, the the digital product version kind of bled off of the one that we started in October where we launched the whole thing off. It was the lead magnet one.
Yeah.
A very similar framework, very similar thought process of like creating a gap and like figuring out pain points and what people like leading people down the customer journey. So there's a coaching call and then there's an implementation and I think a Q&A call. So there's I think a minimum of 3 call replays that you can watch. There's templates, there's email swipe files, all sorts of stuff there for you. And then the lead magnet workshop, I gave a free lead magnet workbook. It's not a workbook that you fill out to do the lead magnet. It's a
It's a
workbook that
template.
it's a template you can actually swipe, customize, and sell.
Like
As,
a Canva template. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
I wanted people to have like a kickstart for like, so it's
Yeah.
like a workbook
Why
kind of
start from scratch? Yeah. Mhm.
workbook ebook situation. And I drafted it and then my graphic designer finalized it. So
So it's
it's there
good.
for you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So if you join the membership, um, then if this is your first goal, if you're wanting to get a digital product up and running, you could go in and you could watch those and then bring any digital product questions to your group, right?
Yep.
Cool.
That's it.
All right. This has been a really good conversation. I hope people who are listening feel like they have some good direction if they are hoping to launch their first or next digital product in 2024. Thanks for all your wisdom.
Of course. Well, next time we meet will be next Wednesday, and we will be chatting about what should be in your email newsletter, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
cool. Big jump from topics.
Jump from the topic, but I think that these topics all bleed together. So I hope that we will see you guys back next week. And oh, Deanna says, is this separate from the membership? No, it's just all in the membership. It's just all there. I don't like separating things out. So if you're in the membership, you get everything that I sell.
Yeah, we're talking
As
about Pin Profit Academy.
Yep. Well, thanks, Bayberry. Thanks, Deanna, for watching live. We really appreciate you guys and anyone else that was here live with us. We will see you back next week about what you should put in your email newsletters.
Bye. See you then.
And we're out.